Let's talk about Etsy Branding 101. How do you create a strong brand on Etsy? Let me give you the overview of the whole conversation here. So when we talk about a strong brand on Etsy, first thing first, you need to think about the visual elements of building a brand on Etsy. See, the whole thing is that there are visual elements. They are quintessential when it comes to helping you build a strong brand on Etsy. There's one thing I first want you to think about, your logo. See, your logo is a vital element of your brand identity, right? Often, your logo can make your brand more recognizable in the minds of Etsy shoppers. It can be used throughout your shop in other branding elements like business card and shop banner. So it's really important to pay attention to your logo. So having a great logo will help you achieve a consistent visual brand image. This is really important. You have to understand Etsy is a creative marketplace. And when we talk about logo, the logo is really actually one of the most quintessential creative tools that you can have. Okay. Why do you need a logo? Because you want to differentiate yourself. You need to think about the design that really actually fits your brand value, because you need to use font and typography that actually fits your brand value. Okay. And think about versatile, scalable design. Think about a simple color scheme or a diverse color scheme, whatever works for you. Boss, the thing is, you just make sure that you are constantly in tune. Your logo has to be in tune with your target audience, but also with your own Shopify, with your own Etsy shop. Very important. Not Shopify, Etsy shop. So when we're talking about things like the fonts, the colors, the symbols, okay, you can think about maybe having the kind of colors. Colors will actually reflect the sort of tone, the sort of allure that you want to give to your Etsy shop. This is really important. And so when we talk about Etsy graphics, please, if you're not creative enough, don't try to do things yourself. You can basically outsource the whole thing. There are a lot of platforms nowadays where you can actually order an Etsy logo for your shop, a logo for your Etsy shop. You can go on 99designs.com. You can go on Fiverr. You can go on TopTal. You can go on freelancer.com. You have a constellation of platforms that will do that, where you can find freelancers who are smart and competent enough to do a logo for you. So if you're not a creative type, don't try to do things yourself. I want to talk to you about the Etsy branding kit. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We're having a quick convo about Etsy branding. I'm just going back to the origins, so to speak, to explain everything to you. So when we talk about the visual elements of your Etsy brand, we're speaking about your logo. We're speaking about your graphics, the logo graphics. Now let's talk about your branding kit. So when we talk about the branding kit, what are we talking about? We're speaking about your shop banner and cover image. Okay, this is the larger header image. When we talk about your shop banner, this is the larger header image when you enter an Etsy shop. There are two sizes: a smaller Etsy banner, minimum image size 1200 by 160 pixels, and a bigger cover image, minimum image size 1200 by 300 pixels. So this is actually, when you think about it, this is a great place to showcase your popular products. Make sure your brand's fonts and colors are used in this design. I also want to talk to you about your shop icon and profile picture. So they are used in places like shop home page, messages, order receipts, etc. So having a shop icon is part of being a professional and reputable Etsy seller. This is quintessential. Okay, it's a great idea to use your brand logo for those places. Okay, now what about packaging? So again, I'm just walking you through all the elements you have to put in place when it comes to your Etsy branding, and packaging is really instrumental, because this is what customers see, right? And you always want to add value throughout your value chain for your shop, for your Etsy shop. From the time they order, from the time they come across your Etsy shop, to the time they order, to the time they get your products. Packaging has to be part of your branding. Okay, and you can actually have a more affordable solution, such as getting a branding stamp or iron, for example, so you can stamp your logo on your packaging bags and envelopes. But if you have more resources, you can get actually get wrapping paper. Okay, that is the same color as your brand color. Or you can have a washi tape that fits your brand style. So you really have a constellation of choices when it comes to packaging. Okay. Also, please always include a business credit card or order thank you so that whenever you actually deliver to a customer, people know that you really care, and it's a great branding strategy also. Let's also talk about your business credit cards. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a quick walkthrough when it comes to Etsy branding and things that you need to have in place so that you can actually differentiate yourself, but also linger longer in your customers' minds. Okay, so let's talk about a business credit card. So the thing is that a business credit card, a lot of people believe, well, I have an online handmade business, I don't need a business credit card. You are wrong. If that's what you're thinking, you are definitely wrong, because a business card for your Etsy shop is really, really useful, even if you have a handmade business, because it can be a great way to introduce your Etsy brand to friends and family. And if you hand it out, you can actually hand it out at various events. You can hand out at networking events to potential customers. People would check you out if the card is well done, if the card is well designed with the glossy solid paper, And don't forget that nowadays you even have virtual business cards. You don't have to have a physical card. You don't have to print cards. You can actually have electronic cards. They work too. NFC cards, they work too. Okay, and a simple and effective business card design is having your logo on one side and your contact information on the other side. Okay, be sure to use your brand fonts and colors. It's very important to have color consistency. And again, if you're not the creative type, don't try to do things yourself, boss. Don't try to do things yourself. Don't force things. Outsource the whole thing. Okay, go back to the platforms I spoke to you earlier about: Fiverr, 99 Designs, TopTal, Freelancer.com, Upwork. You'll find great freelancers out there who'll take care of you. Also, think about your social media. So many handmade businesses use social media to promote their Etsy shops. Okay, there are many branding opportunities in social media, whether we're speaking about Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or Pinterest or LinkedIn or what have you. It really depends. Okay, and now when we talk about Facebook, for example, well, make sure that you have your profile picture, your Facebook page banner. When we talk about Instagram, this will be your Instagram story highlights, your Instagram reels. So you do have a lot of opportunity to promote your Etsy store. When writing content for your social media, keep your brand's personality and audience in mind. Use colors and fonts. They are consistent to your brand's colors and fonts. Really important. Consistency is really important. Let me talk to you about resources. Again, we are still talking about the visual elements of your Etsy brand. Okay, so we spoke about logo, we spoke about graphics, we spoke about the branding kit, we spoke about the packaging, we spoke about the business card. Now I'm talking to you about the resources. Now there are a lot of resources. The whole thing here, I spoke about social media. The thing is, when we talk about resources, what does that really mean? Well, resources means that you can actually do things yourself. For example, you can do things on Canva. Okay, Canva is a great place. They have a great tool to use for making branding assets. Okay, they have a free and paid version, where the free version is more limited in terms of graphic, fonts, and template choices. Okay, and so that's kind of cool. And also, you can actually do things yourself in terms of reaching out. There are other platforms that actually allow you to do things yourself. For example, you have Creative Market. It's a great resource for graphics. You can find custom graphics, social media templates, and more. Now, the thing is that when I'm talking about resources, you can also reach out to other Etsy sellers. Okay, it's all about, sometimes you have a Facebook groups, for example, where Etsy sellers actually gather to share ideas, to share. It's not about competition only. It's not about competition. Sometimes, if you have Etsy sellers who are in related industries, they can share ideas, they can share things, their insights about trends, what they see in their stores, and it's kind of cool. Okay, so avail yourself of those resources. You can also actually, if you have a local, let's say a local Etsy network where you live, meet people face to face, have conversations. Again, it's not about always a competition. It's always sometimes it's about learning from others and learning from their mistakes. By the way, this is very important, and this will help you out. And also, in terms of resources, you want to constantly ask for feedback. Ask your audience about feedback. If they like your logo, they like your colors, they like your branding. Always ask about. You want to seek feedback, and this will help you improve your branding overall. Let me talk about intangible elements of your brand. This is an important element that you have to pay attention to. And what I want to say here is that when we talk about your Etsy shop, there are some intangible elements. What are those? First, you have your brand voice. Brand voice is really important. Now, what is your brand voice? Your brand voice is basically, by the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're still having a conversation about Etsy Branding 101. I'm giving you a complete walkthrough that you need to have in mind right now when it comes to your Etsy shop. So when we talk about intangible elements of your brand, remember that brand voice is the personality that you can use when communicating with customers. It should also be in line with the purpose and value of your brand, right? So brand voice, when you think about brand voice, it's not just limited to just communicating with customers in messaging. No, it should be used in all interactions with them, including your social media post caption, your Etsy product description, and so on and so forth. And the thing is that you got to be consistent and always keep your brand voice in mind, because the thing is that you will be attracting a specific audience with your brand voice. So whenever you are writing for your brand, make sure that your brand personality is present, okay? And this is really important. This will help you actually establish a consistent user base over time, consistent and engaged user base over time. And when we talk about having a strong brand, we're talking about a constellation of things. There are a lot of ways you can actually establish a strong brand. You can do so through messages and conversations. Okay, and so we're talking about Etsy conversations. When you receive messages from shoppers, make sure you keep your brand personality in mind. If your brand is fun, don't be afraid to start the conversation with a hey and add some fun emojis. Okay, it's useful to write some answers for some commonly asked questions so that you can ensure the answers are using the appropriate brand voice. Doing so will save you a lot of time, believe me, a lot of time. And also in your product description. Okay, this is kind of cool. Make sure that you write your Etsy listing description with your brand voice so that you are basically standing out from your competitors. This is kind of cool. I want to talk to you also about your brand story. So we're still having a conversation about what? We're having a conversation about your branding on Etsy. It's important to actually make sure that you remind customers, you remind shoppers, you remind prospects why you started this whole story in the first place, why things started in the first place. And an Etsy brand story is a great place to connect with your audience. Okay, so what made you start your Etsy shop? Talk to your viewers about that. Talk to your shoppers about that. What problem did you first face to inspire you to create your products? How did your life become better after using your products? See, customers love to hear those original stories, not just because they're interested in, not because they're nosy, but they want to connect with you. They want to connect with your brand. This is really important. So these questions that I just gave you can inspire you to craft your brand story. And your brand story can show your personality to shoppers, making you more approachable and personable. And that's what you want, because people don't buy your products necessarily. They buy a brand, they buy a story, they buy a connection. So if you are adding value consistently, you will be increasing your sales in no time, but it takes time. Okay. And so the story can be used in the about section of your Etsy shop. And basically you can also mention the same story in other places like the listing description or your own blog. But again, going back to what I said earlier, it's really important to be consistent. If you are having a brand story, make sure that your brand story is consistent with your brand voice. There has to be harmony when customers actually go through all those things. So my question to you is right now, what's your Etsy shop? What sector or what niche is your Etsy shop in? What is your brand voice? What is actually the kind of so this is a big decision time, really, a big decision time. What is your brand story? What is your brand voice? Are you sure that your brand story is in line with your brand voice? And what about the colors? What about the fonts? What about the logo? All those things should be in harmony, okay? So that the prospective buyer or your loyal Etsy shoppers know exactly that they're talking to you. It has to be consistent over and over and over. Let's also talk now about after sales, because this is an important element, And so when we talk about branding is not just about your logo, your colors, the fonts, and whatnot. No. After sale care is also important. Your brand communication should not end because you made the sale. You made the sale is good. People love you, okay? After sale care is important to leave a lasting impression in the minds of customers. Because remember, your whole strategy on Etsy is to have repeat customers, is to have loyal customers, is to have engaged customers, right? Customers who will keep buying and buying and buying and buying from you. It's not about just making one sale. See, the first sale is very easy. The next sale is the more complicated ones. So if you're able to actually take care of after sale care, if you're able to take care of your customers after the sale, then this is fantastic, because your customers will reward you by coming back and buy from you again and again and again. And so loyal customers that keep coming back to your Etsy shop are critical to the long-term success of your store. And after sale care can be as easy as an instruction and care card included with the customer's order. And those cards, for example, they are really, really great when it comes to showcasing your brand's personality. It's all about making sure that the customer knows that you care. Okay, you can also do so by sending an email sometimes after the purchase, by asking questions, by making sure that everything is fine, they're comfortable, they understand the instructions. Okay, you can provide them with useful care instruction or to ask for feedback about the products. And when we talk about branding on Etsy, please don't forget promotion and marketing. And when we talk about promotion and marketing, you can do promotion and marketing on the platform. So that's organic. So you can actually, or you can do outside the platform. You can do so on social media, for example, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, or you can do so on your website, on your blog. Content marketing is really powerful also. So if you want to raise your Etsy shop sales over time, you can actually provide excellent value, excellent content. And when we talk about excellent content, we're not just speaking about written content. It can be pictures. It can be pictures. It can be videos. But it's all about making sure that your content is in sync with what the audience is looking for. If you are selling products that are better, they're seen better through visuals, through videos, then do videos. If you're selling products that are better seen through pictures, then do pictures. If you're selling products that are better served or better explained through long form content, then write content. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about Etsy Branding 101, everything you need to know. So we talked about the visual elements of a brand, of an Etsy brand. We spoke about the logo, the listing graphics, the branding kit, the packaging, the business card, the social media, okay? And the intangible elements of your brand voice, messages and conversations, product description, brand story, after sale care, promotion and marketing. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.